Daniel lived in a small house on the edge of town. It was a quiet place, where the streets were calm and the neighbors mostly kept to themselves. He liked the peace. He liked the quiet. After a long day at work, he enjoyed sitting on his couch with a cup of tea and a book. Or sometimes he just stared out the window, watching the sky change colors as the sun went down. He had always been a careful person. He was not the type to rush into things. He liked to think before he spoke. He liked to observe before he acted. His friends often said he was too serious, but Daniel believed that being careful was a kind of strength. It helped him avoid trouble. It helped him stay calm when things went wrong. That evening was no different. He had finished his dinner and was getting ready to relax. The house was quiet, and the soft sound of the refrigerator humming filled the room. He had just turned on the TV when he heard a knock at the front door. It was a gentle knock, not loud or angry. It was the kind of knock you would hear from someone who didn't want to cause a problem. Daniel paused. He wasn't expecting anyone. He wasn't close to anyone who might come over unannounced. He looked at the clock. It was late. The street lights outside were already on, and the sky was dark. He stood up slowly and walked to the door. He looked through the peephole. At first, he didn't see anyone. He felt a strange moment of relief. Maybe it was just the wind. Maybe it was a mistake. But then he saw a figure standing outside. It was a woman. She looked tired and confused. Her hair was messy, and her clothes looked like they had been worn for a long time. She was holding something close to her chest, like she was protecting it. Daniel couldn't tell what it was. He felt a small shock of fear. He didn't know her. He didn't know why she was there. He stepped back from the door and took a deep breath. His heart was beating faster than normal. He thought about calling someone. He thought about ignoring the knock. He thought about locking the door and going back to his couch. But something inside him told him not to turn her away without knowing why she was there. He looked through the peephole again. The woman was still there. She looked like she needed help. Daniel felt a strange mix of fear and sympathy. He had always believed that people needed kindness, especially when they were struggling. He slowly opened the door. Just a little. "Hello," he said quietly. The woman looked up. Her eyes were wide and she seemed surprised to see him. For a moment, she didn't say anything. She just stared at him as if she had been waiting for someone like him.
I'm sorry," she finally said. Her voice was soft and shaky.
"I don't know where else to go." Daniel felt his fear grow, but he also felt his heart soften. He could see that she was not trying to scare him. She looked scared herself. He stepped back a little, still keeping the door mostly closed. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Do you need help?" The woman nodded quickly. "Yes, please. I don't have anywhere to stay." Daniel hesitated. He knew it was not safe to invite a stranger into his home. He knew the rules. He knew what people said about strangers, but he also knew that she looked like she had been through something hard. He could see it in her eyes. She looked tired and lost, like she had been walking for hours or days. He opened the door a little wider. "You can come in," he said. "But just for a little while. I need to know what is going on." The woman's face changed. She looked relieved, like a heavy weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She stepped inside carefully, as if she didn't trust her own feet. Daniel closed the door behind her and locked it. He felt safer with the door locked, but he still felt nervous. "Thank you," she whispered. She looked around the living room with wide eyes.
"This place is quiet." Daniel nodded.
"It's quiet. That's how I like it."
The woman looked down at the floor. then back at Daniel. She seemed to be thinking about something. Daniel waited. He didn't want to rush her. He didn't want to push her into saying something she didn't want to say. Finally, she spoke again.
"My name is Mara," she said. "I'm sorry to come to your house like this."
"I didn't mean to bother you." Daniel nodded slowly. "I'm Daniel." Mara smiled slightly, but her smile looked forced. She was still shaking a little. She sat down on the couch, but she didn't look comfortable. She looked like she was trying to stay calm, but she was struggling. Daniel sat across from her, keeping a safe distance. He didn't want to make her feel like he was judging her, but he also didn't want to get too close too quickly. He reached for his cup of tea and took a sip, hoping the warm drink would calm him. "Where are you coming from?" Daniel asked. Mara took a deep breath. "I've been traveling," she said.
"With a group. We do rituals."
Spiritual rituals. Daniel felt a chill run through him. He had heard about spiritual groups before. Some were harmless, some were not. He didn't know which kind this was. He didn't want to make assumptions. Rituals? Daniel repeated. Mara nodded. "Yes. We do things to feel connected to the earth, to the spirits, to our ancestors." Daniel listened carefully. He could tell she believed what she was saying. She wasn't joking. She wasn't trying to trick him, but he still felt unsure. "Do you have somewhere to stay?" he asked. "Or someone you can call?" Mara shook her head.
"No," she said softly.
"I don't have anyone. I lost my group. They left me behind." Daniel felt his heart ache. He could not imagine being left alone in the world. He felt the urge to help her, but he also felt the fear of what might happen if he did. He stood up slowly.
"You can stay for a while," he said, "but I need to know why you are here."
"And I need you to be honest with me." Mara nodded. She looked at him with eyes that seemed to be searching for trust. She nodded again, like she was trying to prove that she was telling the truth. "I'm not trying to cause trouble," she said. I just need a place to rest." Daniel moved to the kitchen and poured her a glass of water. He handed it to her carefully. Mara took it with both hands, like she was holding something precious. She drank slowly, as if she was afraid of drinking too fast. Daniel watched her. He wondered what had happened to her. He wondered why she was here. He wondered if she was telling the truth. After a few minutes, Mara spoke again.
"Daniel," she said quietly, "I need to tell you something."
"It's important." Daniel nodded.
Okay, he said. What is it?
Mara took a deep breath and looked down at her hands. "I'm part of a ritual," she said. "A special ritual. It is an Apache ritual." Daniel froze. He didn't know much about Apache rituals. He knew they were part of Native American traditions. He knew they were important and sacred to the people who practiced them. He also knew that some people had been using sacred traditions in the wrong way. Mara looked up at him, her eyes serious. "I need to perform it," she said. "I need to do it here." Daniel felt his stomach tighten. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what the ritual involved. He didn't know if it was safe. He didn't know if it was real. He waited for her to continue. Mara's voice became softer. "It is about purity," she said. "It is about being reborn. I need to be free of my old self." Daniel tried to understand. He could see that she was not trying to hurt anyone. She seemed to believe that this ritual would help her. But he still felt a strong fear. "What does the ritual involve?" Daniel asked carefully. Mara looked at him with a strange intensity. "I have to be In a certain way, she said. I have to be free. I have to be honest with myself.
I need to be in the right state. Daniel didn't like the sound of that.
He didn't like the way she said it. He felt the fear grow inside him. But he did not want to show his fear. He did not want to scare her. He decided to stay quiet. He didn't know if that was the right choice. But in that moment, he felt that silence was safer than arguing. He sat back down and watched her carefully, waiting to see what would happen next. Daniel sat in silence for a moment, trying to understand what Mara had just said. He felt the room grow smaller, like the walls were closing in. His mind was full of questions. What did she mean by a ritual? What kind of ritual would need to be done in his home? Why did she choose him? Mara watched him carefully. Her eyes were steady, but there was a strange nervousness in her body. She was like a person who had already decided something important and now was waiting for the world to accept it. Daniel finally spoke.
Mara, he said softly, I don't know much about Apache rituals. I don't want to disrespect your beliefs, but I need to understand. What exactly do you need to do? Mara took a deep breath. She seemed to gather her thoughts.
Then she began to explain. It is a ritual of rebirth, she said. It is meant to cleanse the spirit, to let go of old feelings, to start again. Daniel listened carefully. He could see that she believed in what she was saying. She was not joking. She was not trying to trick him. She seemed serious and sincere. Mara continued, in the ritual, you must remove your old self. You must remove your old thoughts. You must become pure.
You must be honest with the spirit. Daniel felt confused.
He did not know what she meant by remove your old self. He didn't know how someone could do that. Mara looked at him with a quiet intensity. You must be brave, she said.
You must not be afraid. Fear stops the ritual.
Daniel felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He didn't like the idea of fear being involved. He didn't like the idea of being pushed into something he didn't understand. He tried to keep his voice calm. Mara, I understand that you believe in this, but I need to know what you will do. Will you be safe? Will you harm yourself? Mara shook her head quickly. No, she said. I will not harm myself. This is a spiritual thing. It is not about pain. It is about truth. Daniel tried to believe her. He wanted to trust her. He wanted to help her. But his mind kept returning to the same thought. Why me? Why my house? Why now? He thought about calling someone. He thought about calling the police. But he didn't want to scare her. He didn't want to make her feel like she was in trouble. He felt like she needed help, not punishment. He decided to ask a different question. How did you get here? He asked. Mara looked down at her hands. She held them together tightly, like she was holding herself together. I was walking, she said. I was trying to find a place to be safe. I got lost. I don't know where I am. Daniel nodded slowly. He could see that she truly did not know where she was. That made him feel even more concerned. He thought about how easy it would be for someone to get lost if they were traveling alone. He thought about how dangerous it could be for a person to wander without food, water, or shelter.
Do you have food? Daniel asked.
Mara shook her head.
No,
she said softly. Daniel felt a wave of sympathy. He stood up and went to the kitchen. He opened the fridge and looked inside. He didn't have much, but he had enough to offer her something simple. He took out some bread and cheese and placed it on a plate. He also poured her another glass of water. When he returned, Mara was still sitting on the couch, staring at the floor. Daniel placed the plate on the table in front of her.
"Eat," he said. "You look tired."
Mara looked up. Her eyes seemed to shine with gratitude. She nodded and started eating slowly. She did not speak for a few minutes. Daniel watched her. He watched the way she ate like someone who had not had a meal in a long time.
After a while, she finished. She looked up at Daniel again.
"Thank you," she said. "You are kind." Daniel nodded. He felt a strange feeling in his chest. He was still nervous, but he also felt proud of himself for helping her. He had always wanted to be a good person. He had always wanted to be someone who could help others. This felt like a moment where he was doing the right thing, but he still needed to know what was going to happen next.
"Mara," he said, "you said you need to perform the ritual. Are you going to do it now?"
Mara nodded.
Yes, she said. I need to do it soon.
I feel like time is moving fast. I feel like the spirits are waiting.
Daniel swallowed. He didn't know how to respond. He felt like he was standing at the edge of a cliff, not sure if he should step forward. He decided to ask one more question.
"Will you need anything from me?" he asked. Mara looked at him and smiled gently.
"Just your silence," she said. "You must stay quiet. You must not speak. You must not interrupt." Daniel's heart raced. He didn't like the idea of being asked to stay silent. He didn't like the feeling of being told what to do. He felt like he was being controlled. But he also felt that if he said no, he might scare her or make her feel worse. He didn't want to make the situation worse. He wanted to stay calm. He nodded slowly.
"Okay," he said. "I will be quiet." Mara stood up.
She moved slowly, like she was walking in a dream. Daniel watched her carefully. She walked toward his bedroom. Daniel followed her with his eyes, but he did not move from the living room. He stayed where he was, keeping his distance. Mara reached the bedroom door and paused. She turned back to look at Daniel. Her eyes were soft, but there was a strong seriousness in them. "Remember," she said quietly, "no words, no questions, just silence." Daniel nodded. He didn't know what to say. He felt trapped between his fear and his desire to help. Mara opened the door and stepped inside. Daniel stood in the living room, listening. He could hear the soft sound of the bedroom door closing. He could hear the small movement of the bed. He could hear the quiet breath of someone preparing for something important. He felt his heart beat loudly in his chest. He stood still, trying not to make a sound. He did not know what was happening in the bedroom. He could only imagine. He tried to think of something else to calm himself. He thought about his job. He thought about his friends. He thought about the quiet streets outside. But his mind kept returning to the same question. What is she doing? Daniel waited in silence. He felt like time was moving slowly, like each second was stretching longer than it should. He felt the need to check on her, but he remembered her request. He remembered her need for silence. He tried to be patient. He tried to trust her. And he tried to believe that she was safe and that she would not harm him. After a while, he heard a soft sound from the bedroom. It sounded like a small sigh. Then, a few moments later, the sound of the bed moving again. He felt a small wave of relief. Maybe she was simply resting. Maybe she was safe. But then, he heard something else. A soft, quiet whisper. It was too soft for him to understand. It sounded like a prayer. It sounded like someone talking to themselves. It sounded like someone trying to calm themselves. Daniel's fear returned. He did not like the idea of her being alone in the bedroom. He did not like the idea of being trapped in his own home with a stranger doing something he did not understand. He tried to stay calm. He tried to stay quiet. He reminded himself that he had promised her silence, but his mind was full of questions. He wondered if he had made a mistake by letting her in. He wondered if he should call someone. He wondered if he should trust her. He stood in the living room waiting. He listened. He tried to stay calm. He tried to be patient. He didn't know what was about to happen next. Daniel stayed in the living room, still trying to understand what was happening. He kept his promise to stay silent, but inside his mind, he was thinking of 100 different things. He tried to imagine what Mara was doing in the bedroom. He tried to imagine what kind of ritual she was performing. He tried to imagine what she might do next. The minutes felt long. Daniel felt the weight of silence pressing on him. The quiet was not peaceful anymore. It felt heavy, like a room full of secrets. He started to feel uncomfortable. He wondered if he should check on her. He wondered if he should open the bedroom door. But he remembered her words. No words, no questions, just silence. He took a deep breath and tried to calm himself. He told himself that she was not dangerous. He told himself that she was just a lost person who needed help. He tried to believe that, but the whispering continued. It was soft, but it did not stop. Daniel could not understand the words. They sounded like a language he did not know. It sounded like someone speaking to the air, as if the air could answer back. It sounded like someone talking to their own spirit. Daniel felt a strange feeling. He felt like he was listening to something sacred. He felt like he was witnessing something important, but he also felt like he was not supposed to be there. He thought about his own life. He thought about how he always followed rules. He thought about how he always tried to do the right thing. He thought about how he had always believed that silence was a sign of respect. Now he was not sure. He walked slowly to the hallway, just a few steps away from the bedroom door. He stood there, listening. He could hear the whispering more clearly. He could hear the sound of the bed moving. He could hear the quiet breath of someone who was focused on something deep inside. Daniel felt a strange mix of emotions. He felt fear, but also curiosity. He felt anger, but also sympathy. He felt confused, but also calm. It was like his mind was being pulled in different directions at the same time. He remembered the stories he had heard about spiritual rituals. He remembered how some rituals were about healing. He remembered how some rituals were about letting go. He remembered how some rituals were about connecting to something bigger than yourself. He tried to tell himself that Mara was doing something like that. He tried to tell himself that she was safe. He tried to tell himself that he was doing the right thing by being quiet. But then he heard something else. It was not a whisper this time. It was a small sound, like a soft laugh. It sounded like someone who was trying to stay calm, but also feeling a strange happiness. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. He did not know what to think. He did not know if the laugh was a good sign or a bad sign. He stood still and listened carefully. The sound continued. It was not loud, but it was clear. It sounded like someone who had found a moment of peace. It sounded like someone who was feeling a sense of relief. Daniel felt a small wave of relief too. Maybe the ritual was working. Maybe Mara was feeling better. Maybe she was finding the peace she had been searching for. But his relief was short-lived. His mind started to question everything again. He wondered why she had to do this in his home. He wondered why she had to be in his bedroom. He wondered why she had asked him to stay silent. He tried to remember the rules of safety. He tried to remember what he had learned in his life. He tried to remember the times he had been told to trust his instincts. His instincts were telling him that something was not right. He decided to do something small. He went back to the living room and sat down on the couch. He tried to keep his body calm, but his mind was still busy. He looked at the clock. Time was passing slowly. He tried to think of what to do next. He thought about calling someone again. He thought about calling a friend. He thought about calling a family member. He thought about calling a stranger. He thought about calling the police. But he didn't want to scare Mara. He didn't want to make her feel like she was in trouble. He didn't want to make her feel like she was being judged. He decided to wait a little longer. As he waited, he noticed something else. He noticed the small details of his home. He noticed the pictures on the wall. He noticed the small decorations. He noticed the way the light from the lamp made soft shadows on the floor. He realized that he had never really paid attention to his home before. He had always taken it for granted. But now, in this moment of silence, he could see every detail. He could see the things he had never noticed before. He thought about how life can change in a single moment. He thought about how one small decision can lead to a chain of events that you cannot control. He thought about how he had opened his door to a stranger, and now his home was no longer just his home. He thought about how he had always been careful, but now he felt like he was not in control. He heard the whispering again. It was softer now, like someone who was speaking slowly. It sounded like someone who was trying to calm themselves. It sounded like someone who was trying to find peace. Daniel felt a strange feeling. He felt like he was watching a person heal. He felt like he was watching a person become stronger. He felt like he was watching a person find their way. He stood up again. He walked back to the hallway. He stood there, listening. He tried to focus on the sound of the whispering. He tried to understand what she was saying. He couldn't understand the words, but he could understand the feeling. He could feel the emotion behind the words. He could feel the strength. He could feel the hope. Daniel felt his fear start to fade. He felt a small sense of calm. He felt like he was not in danger. He felt like he was in a moment of understanding. He decided to stay silent. He decided to trust her. He decided to give her the space she needed. He stood in the hallway for a long time. He listened to the whispering. He listened to the quiet movements. He listened to the soft breath of someone who was trying to heal. Finally, after a long time, he heard the bedroom door open. Mara stepped out. She looked different. She looked calmer. She looked like someone who had been through something important. Her eyes were softer. Her body was less tense. She looked like she had found something inside herself. She looked at Daniel and smiled. "Thank you," she said quietly. Daniel nodded. He did not know what to say. He was still feeling a mix of emotions. He was still unsure, but he felt like he had done something good. He felt like he had helped someone. Mara walked back to the couch and sat down. She looked at Daniel with a quiet gratitude. "I feel better," she said. "The ritual helped." Daniel nodded slowly. "I'm glad," he said. Mara looked around the room. She seemed to notice the details of the home for the first time. She looked at the pictures on the wall. She looked at the small decorations. She looked at the light from the lamp. "It's a peaceful place," she said. Daniel smiled.
Yes, he said, it is. Mara leaned back on the couch and closed her eyes.
She looked tired, but calm. Daniel watched her for a moment. He felt a strange sense of relief. He felt like the worst was over. but he also felt a strange feeling of curiosity. He wondered what would happen next. He wondered if she would leave. He wondered if she would stay. He wondered if his life would ever be the same again. He didn't know the answer, but for now, he felt a small sense of peace. Daniel watched Mara sit on the couch, looking calm and peaceful. He could see that she had changed since the ritual. She looked more relaxed. Her shoulders were not tense anymore. Her breathing was slow and steady. She seemed like a person who had just returned from a long journey and finally found a safe place to rest. Daniel felt a small wave of relief. He had been scared earlier. He had been worried. He had been unsure if he had done the right thing by letting her into his home. But now, he felt like maybe he had made the right decision. He sat down in his chair and tried to relax. He wanted to talk to her. He wanted to understand her story. He wanted to know what had happened to her. But he also did not want to push her. He did not want to make her feel uncomfortable. He looked at her carefully. He noticed small things he hadn't noticed before. He noticed a small tattoo on her wrist. It looked like a symbol of a bird. He noticed that her hands were rough, like she had been working hard. He noticed that her eyes looked tired, like she had not slept in days. Daniel wondered what kind of life she had lived. He wondered what had brought her to his doorstep. He wondered if she had been hurt by people in the past. He wondered if she had been alone for a long time.
Mara opened her eyes and looked at Daniel.
She seemed to notice that he was watching her. She smiled softly. "Are you okay?" she asked. Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "I'm okay. Thank you for letting me help you." Mara's smile grew a little brighter. "Thank you for letting me in," she said. "I didn't know where else to go." Daniel felt a small warmth in his chest. He felt like he was doing something good. He felt like he was helping someone who really needed help. But he also knew that this was not the end. He knew that he needed to be careful. He knew that he needed to understand her situation. He knew that he needed to help her in a safe way. He took a deep breath. He decided to ask her some questions, but he tried to ask them gently. "Mara," he said, "you said you were traveling with a group. Do you remember the name of the group? Do you remember where they were from?" Mara looked down at her hands. She seemed to think for a moment. Then she shook her head. "I don't remember," she said. "I remember that we were traveling, but I don't remember the details." Daniel felt a little worried. If she could not remember, maybe she had been through something very difficult. Maybe she had been in a stressful situation that caused her to forget. He tried to stay calm. He did not want to scare her. "Do you have family?" he asked. Mara looked up at him. Her eyes became sad. "I used to," she said, "but I lost them." Daniel felt a sharp feeling in his heart. He did not know what to say. He did not want to make her feel worse. He felt a strong sense of sympathy for her. He felt like she had been through a lot. He decided to change the topic. He did not want to keep talking about sad things. He wanted to help her feel better. "Mara," he said, "you can stay here tonight. You can rest. Tomorrow, we can talk more and figure out what to do." Mara nodded. She looked relieved.
"Thank you," she said. "I just need to sleep." Daniel stood up.
He walked to the kitchen and made a small cup of tea for himself. He looked at the clock. It was late. He realized that he had been awake for a long time. He felt tired, too. He brought the tea back to the living room and sat down again. He watched Mara as she slowly leaned back on the couch. Her eyes closed. She looked peaceful. Daniel felt a sense of responsibility. He realized that he had a duty to help her. He realized that he had to do more than just let her stay. He had to help her find a way to be safe and to feel better, he thought about calling a friend. He thought about calling someone who might know how to help. He thought about calling a local shelter. He thought about calling a community center. He thought about calling someone who could help her find her way. But he didn't want to force her to leave. He didn't want to make her feel like she was being taken away. He wanted to help her in a way that respected her feelings and her beliefs. He decided to wait until morning. He watched Mara for a while longer. He noticed that she seemed to be dreaming. Her face changed slightly, like someone who was remembering something. Her eyebrows moved a little. She smiled softly. Daniel felt curious. He wondered what she was dreaming about. He wondered if she was remembering her past. He wondered if she was thinking about her family. He wondered if she was thinking about her group. He sat quietly, watching her sleep. He felt a strange connection to her. He felt like he was part of her story now. He felt like his life had changed in a small way. He finished his tea and stood up. He walked to his bedroom and prepared his bed. He thought about how he would sleep. He thought about how he would wake up in the morning and see what Mara would do next. He felt a little nervous. He did not know what to expect. He did not know if she would leave in the morning. He did not know if she would stay. He did not know if his life would ever go back to the way it was before. He lay down on his bed and tried to sleep, but his mind was still busy. He kept thinking about Mara. He kept thinking about the ritual. He kept thinking about the strange feeling of silence. He wondered if he had done the right thing. He wondered if he had been brave. He wondered if he had been foolish. He wondered if he had been kind. He finally fell asleep, but his sleep was not deep. He had dreams of walking in a forest. He had dreams of a woman with a bird tattoo on her wrist. He had dreams of a ritual and a quiet room. When he woke up, the morning light was shining through his window. The house was quiet. Mara was still asleep on the couch. She looked calm and peaceful. Daniel felt a sense of relief. He got up slowly. He walked to the kitchen and made a small breakfast. He thought about what he would say to her. He thought about how he would help her. He walked back to the living room and sat down. Mara slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Daniel and smiled. "Good morning," she said softly. Daniel smiled back. "Good morning," he said. Mara sat up slowly. She looked around the room. She seemed to notice the details of the home again. She looked at the pictures on the wall. She looked at the small decorations. She looked at the light from the window. "It feels safe here," she said. Daniel nodded. "Yes," he said. "It is safe." Mara stood up. She stretched her arms slowly, like someone who had just woken up from a long sleep. She looked at Daniel with a serious expression. "Daniel," she said, "I need to tell you something." "I think I remember something." Daniel's heart beat faster. He felt both hope and fear. He wondered what she would say. He wondered what she would remember. He wondered if her memory would help or hurt. Mara took a deep breath. She looked at Daniel with her eyes wide open. "I remember my name," she said, "and I remember where I came from." Daniel felt a sudden rush of relief. He felt like the world was becoming clearer. He felt like he might finally understand what had happened to her. Mara looked at him and smiled softly. "But I need help," she said. "I need someone to guide me." Daniel nodded. "I will help you," he said. "We will figure this out together." Mara's smile grew brighter. "Thank you," she said. Daniel felt a small warmth in his heart. He felt like he had done something good. He felt like he had made a difference in someone's life. But he also knew that the real challenge was just beginning. He didn't know what would happen next. Daniel felt a strong sense of responsibility as Mara spoke. He could see that she was serious. She was not joking. She was not pretending. She was truly trying to remember who she was and where she belonged. He could see the hope in her eyes, and he felt a deep desire to help her. He took a deep breath and nodded.
Okay, he said softly. Tell me what you remember. Mara looked down at her hands again.
She held them together, and her fingers trembled slightly. She seemed nervous, but she also seemed determined. She took a deep breath and began. I remember my family, she said. I remember a small house near the mountains. I remember my mother's voice. I remember my father's hands. I remember the smell of the kitchen. Daniel listened carefully. He could see the emotion in her eyes. He could see that these memories were important to her. He could see that they were helping her become stronger. Mara continued. I remember a group of people, she said. They were like a family. They were kind. They were strong. They taught me things. They taught me about the earth. They taught me about the spirit. Daniel felt a small wave of sadness. He could imagine how it must feel to lose something so important. He could imagine how it must feel to be alone. He felt even more determined to help her. Mara looked up at him. But I don't remember their names, she said. I don't remember where they went. I don't remember why I was left alone. Daniel nodded slowly. He understood that this was not easy for her. He understood that her memory was still weak. He understood that she needed help to find the answers. He decided to take action. He knew that waiting would not solve the problem. He knew that he had to help her find a safe place and the right people who could support her. Mara, he said, I think you should see someone who can help you. Maybe a counselor or a community worker. Someone who understands people who are lost or confused. Someone who can help you remember in a safe way. Mara nodded slowly. Yes, she said. That sounds good, but I am afraid. Daniel understood her fear. He knew how scary it can be to trust someone new. He knew how scary it can be to tell your story to a stranger. He knew how scary it can be to face the truth. He reached out and placed his hand gently on her shoulder. He did it carefully, not to frighten her. He wanted to show her that he cared. It's okay to be afraid, he said. But you are not alone. I will be with you. Mara looked at him with tears in her eyes. She blinked quickly, trying to stop them. She nodded.
Thank you, she whispered. Daniel felt a small wave of emotion, too.
He felt like he was doing something important. He felt like he was making a difference. He felt like he was helping someone who had been through a difficult journey. He stood up. We need to plan, he said. We need to think about what to do next. Mara. She stood up too. She looked around the room like she was seeing it for the first time. She looked at the door, the windows, the furniture. She seemed to be thinking about the world outside. Daniel walked to the kitchen and opened a cupboard. He took out a notebook and a pen. He sat down at the table. He wanted to write down a plan. He wanted to make sure they did not forget anything. He looked at Mara and asked, Do you remember your last name? Mara shook her head. No, she said. I only remember my first name. Daniel nodded. He wrote down her name anyway. He wrote Mara at the top of the page. Then he wrote the date. Then he wrote a list of things they needed to do. First, he said, we need to find a safe place for you to stay. It's not good for you to stay here forever. This is my home. It is not a long-term solution. Mara nodded. I understand, she said. Daniel continued. Second, we need to contact someone who can help you. Maybe a local community center or a shelter. Maybe someone who works with people who have memory problems. Mara nodded again. Yes, she said. That sounds good. Daniel looked at her carefully. He wanted to make sure she understood. He wanted to make sure she felt safe. Third, he said, we need to find out more about your group. If you remember anything, even small details, write them down. We can try to search for them. Mara nodded. I will try, she said. Daniel felt a small sense of hope. He felt like they were finally moving forward. He felt like they were taking control of the situation. He felt like they were becoming a team. He stood up and walked to the living room. He turned on the TV quietly. He wanted to find the local news channel. He wanted to see if there was any information about missing people or local community groups. He wanted to find a way to help Mara connect with her past. Mara sat down on the couch again. She looked tired, but she also looked calm. She seemed to trust Daniel now. She seemed to feel safe. Daniel watched her for a moment. He felt a small smile on his face. He felt like he had done something good. He felt like he had been brave. He thought about the silence. He thought about how he had stayed quiet during the ritual. He thought about how his silence had helped her feel safe. He thought about how his silence had allowed her to find peace. He realized that sometimes silence can be powerful. Silence can be a form of respect. Silence can be a form of support. Silence can be a way to show someone that you care. He felt proud of himself for staying calm. He felt proud of himself for helping her. He turned off the TV and sat down beside her. He looked at her and asked, Mara, do you want to tell me more about your life? You don't have to if you don't want to, but if you want, I'm here. Mara looked at him for a moment. She seemed to think about it. Then she nodded slowly. I will try, she said. I will tell you what I remember. Daniel listened carefully as Mara began to speak. She told him about her childhood near the mountains. She told him about her family. She told him about the people who had been kind to her. She told him about the lessons she had learned. As she spoke, Daniel could see that her memory was coming back slowly. It was like a puzzle. Pieces were coming together, one by one. Some pieces were clear. Some pieces were still blurry, but the picture was becoming more complete. Daniel felt a strong sense of hope. He felt like they were on the right path. He felt like they could find her family. He felt like they could help her heal. The day passed slowly. Daniel and Mara talked. They planned. They laughed softly. They shared small moments of kindness. In the evening, Daniel prepared a simple meal. They ate together. It was the first time they had shared a meal like normal people. It felt like a small victory. After dinner, Mara stood up and walked to the door. She paused. She looked at Daniel and smiled. Daniel, she said, thank you for everything. I will not forget this.
Daniel nodded. You don't have to, he said.
But I'm glad you feel safe. Mara opened the door and stepped outside. She looked at the sky. The stars were shining brightly. She took a deep breath. She seemed to feel the world around her. She turned back to Daniel. I think I know where I need to go, she said. Daniel felt his heart beat faster. He felt a mixture of hope and fear. He didn't know what she meant. He didn't know if she was ready to leave. Mara smiled.
I need to find my family, she said. I need to find my people. Daniel nodded.
He felt proud of her. He felt like she was becoming strong again. I will help you, he said. Mara smiled again. Thank you, she said. She walked away slowly into the night. Daniel watched her go. He felt a strange feeling in his heart. He felt like he had changed. He felt like his life had changed. He stood in the doorway for a moment, watching the quiet street. He thought about the last 2 days. He thought about the ritual. He thought about the silence. He thought about the fear and the hope. He realized that sometimes life brings unexpected people into your world. Sometimes those people change your life in ways you cannot imagine. Daniel closed the door and went back inside. He felt a sense of calm. He felt a sense of peace. He knew that he had done the right thing. He knew that he had helped someone in need. He knew that he had shown kindness and respect. He sat down on his couch and thought about the future. He didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know if he would ever see Mara again. But he knew one thing for sure: he would never forget her. And he would always remember the power of silence, kindness, and trust. She crawled into his bed, wearing almost nothing. Claiming it was an Apache ritual, he stayed silent.